Okay, we're continuing off Pei Rima, 23 lines from the top. Pei Rima Amud Aleph. Marav Yosef Bar Minyamin Marav Nachman. Bavel Keir HaSimchot L'Separdami. Bavel is considered like a city on the border of Eretz Israel, and therefore you're allowed to have a dog. Tergema B'Nadra, and Nadra says also Nehadra as well. Okay. Gemara doesn't like dogs, we'll explain why. That is Shabi Dusta'id Min Biri. Dusta'id said, وبنحيي مار شوفا Hashem b'vot alfei Yisrael. The pasuk says when Moshe said Hashem will come back, l'lamdecha she'en shechina shura Yisrael, b'chot mishne alafim u'shnei revavot. It teaches you that Hashem only comes to Bnei Yisrael when there's 22,000 people. Haser achat, when there's one less, yani 21,999. V'ayta isha mubarat benehem, and if there's a pregnant woman who's there who's pregnant, uriyala ashlim, and she's able to make the 22,000 person. The dog barked and miscarried. It turns out this dog owner caused Bnei Israel not to have Bnei Israel, not to have the Shekhinah. Alright, so don't have dogs. One time I went to bake bread in someone else's house. The owner's dog who was unchained barked. The owner said, don't be afraid. I already pulled out its sharp teeth. The woman said, take your favor and throw it into the thorns. Which means what? I don't need your favor. It was it's too late. Kfar nad valad. I already miscarried my baby. She's saying, I don't care that it wasn't unchained. It still scared me, and I don't care there's no teeth. I already miscarried. And porsin bin leonim. You should not spread nets out for capturing wild doves, because you might catch other people, right? Unless it's 30 ris away, so that you don't catch other people's doves. But the doves go that far. Mishnah says, you must leave your dove cages, your dove cotes, 50 amot away from the city, which means that it only can fly 50 amot, not only 8,000. Yes, they could go much farther, even up to 8,000 amot, like our Mishnah said. But they fill up within the first 50 amot, they eat full, and therefore they don't eat after that. Right? Therefore, 50 amot is when it'll fly before eating other people's stuff. Can only fly 30 ris, not anything else. In a settled area, you cannot spread out your nets for the doves, even if there's nothing within 100 mil, which sounds like it could fly even much more than the 4 million, the 30 ris. Then our Mishnah said, Rav Yosef Amar, B'yeshuv Kramim, it's referring to a vineyard. Rabba Amar, B'yeshuv Shovavin, it's referring to a settlement, settlements of just the dovecotes, the birdhouses. Right? So when it's flying from vineyard to vineyard, or from one birdhouse to the next, they can fly very far. But when there's nothing in between, they only fly 4 million. Maybe that's the case, then we should talk about the actual birdhouses themselves, the dovecotes. Meaning, if it's a dovecote place, then you should do less, so you don't capture others. Right? Why giving a number if it depends on where the dovecotes are? The Gemara says, it's referring to goyim. Right, if the dovecotes next by are either hefker or they belong to goyim. If you want to say that they're his own dovecotes, the birdhouses. In each case, the guy doesn't need to worry about trapping other birds, because they are not a problem for him to capture, like we just said, 3 answers. And he only has to worry about other people coming in. Alright, finish the perich. Continuing now with perek 8. Alright, Baruch Hashem, we're rolling. Perek 8. HaHovel b'Haverov, Perima Amud Bet. HaHovel b'Haverov, someone hits his friend. Hayav alav mishum hamishat v'rim, you're chayav on 5 different things because of damage, for injuries. Nezek, for the actual damage you caused. Psa'ar, pain. Ripui, healing. Shebet, unemployment. And Boshet, embarrassment. Benezek said, how do we measure how much a person pays for damage? Simet, someone blinded the guy's eye, katati door, cut off his hand, shibet ragbo, broke his leg. Ruino toki iluhu aibed nimkar bashuk, you have to look at him as if he's being sold in a market as a slave. Beshavin kamaya, how much he's worth without the injury? Become hayafan, how much he's worth now. Ta'ar, how do you pay for pain? If the guy was burnt with like a hot item or with a nail, even in a place where it doesn't necessarily cause a damage, it's like you get on his nail, it doesn't cause damage, it's just strictly pain. We measure how much a guy would pay not to have that pain, or how much he would pay how much would a person accept to suffer that pain. How do you pay for healing? If the guy hit someone else, you have to pay to heal him. If the guy developed sores, because of your original damage, you're chayav. But if it's not because of your damage, you're patur. If the wound got better, got bad, you have to heal him. But if he healed completely and then came back, you don't have to heal him anymore, it's not your problem. Shevet, what's the unemployment? Pay the guy as if he was a watchman of cucumbers, like the bare minimum. Bare minimum payment, or salary. Because you don't have to pay him for what he was doing before, because you already paid him for his hand or leg that you damaged. Boshet, how do you pay for Boshet? Hakol the fee division. It all depends on who is embarrassed and who's that embarrassing. If it's a hashu person embarrassing you or vice versa, it depends on what's going on. Okay, we're going to discuss. Amai. Why do you have to pay for damage? Ayin tahat ayin, Amar Rahman, the Torah says an eye for an eye. Ima ayin mamash, maybe we have to cut out his actual eye, like the Torah seemingly says. The Gemara says, I can't say that. The Tanya, the Bretta says, you might think there's someone blinded someone else's eye. Misa medino, you have to blind his eye. Katat to do if you cut off his hand. Mikatet to do, you have to cut off that guy's hand. Shiber Raglo, if he broke someone else's leg. Mishiber Raglo, you should break his hand. The Pasuk tells you, Make Adam, Umake Behema. You hit a person, you hit an animal. Mamake Behema, which means just like you pay for the animal's damage. Af Maka Adam, so too, if you damage someone by physically, you have to pay for payment and not actual cutting off the limb. If you might say, the Pasuk says elsewhere, you shall not take kofer, which means you shouldn't take payment for the murderer who has to die. Meaning, a guy can't buy out his way of getting hayad mita. The nefesh kofer. You might think only by a murderer you should not take payment instead. But maybe you should accept payment for the. You should accept payment for someone who cut off limbs, right? So only times you don't accept payment is for death, but if it's just injuries, you do accept payment. So the Gemara says, "Hay maka." 1 second. That word, the word maka, right? If you tell me that you're trying to bring that pasuk, right? You said maka. Maka means you touch me. The Gemara says, 1 second. That word from the pasuk sorry. That's hahube katlaktiv. That's referring to when you're killing someone. There is no payment there. Not a good word. Different pasuk. Makeb nefesh behema yishalamina nefesh tahat nafesh. The one who strikes an animal shall pay. Usmich Len also says over there, V'ishki ten mumba amitov. Someone hurts someone else. Ka'asher asa ken ya'aselo. Just like he did to them, you do to him. The Gemara says, "Hai lav makahu," but it doesn't say makah over there. The Gemara says, "Haka'a haka'a kamen," referring to not the actual word makah, but the hitting. Mahakab amrim behimam, just like when you said someone hit an animal, you pay money. Afakab amrim behimam, means by a person, you pay money. The Gemara says, "V'aktiv ish ki yakeh kol nefesh adam yimot yumat." Right, but the pasuk said elsewhere that a person who hits someone else, he gets put to death. So we see that there is no money when you're hitting someone else. The Gemara says, "Malon," that's referring to money. And my demon, how do you say it's money? Maybe you have to kill him. Just like you have to kill the guy by death, maybe you have to pay full damages. Just like you kill the guy by death, maybe you have to cut off the guy's limb. The Gemara says, "Let's have the No. First of all, we have hekesh between the striking of the animal. We had above. But then also another pasuk, you should do the wound upon the person. Over here we can learn from this pasuk that's referring to money. So the Gemara says, right? We said, if you don't like that one, we bring you a second proof. Why do we have to say a second pasuk? We have Xer Shava. Why do we bring another pasuk? The Gemara says, no, to Kaka Shel Tana, because there's another question for the Tana that he didn't like it. Maybe what made you think that you should learn from the Gzera Sheva of the word Makkah? Maybe you should learn from a different Gzera Sheva. Learn from the other pasuk that referred to death. Yani the actual punishment, midah keneged midah. Just like over there, the guy's getting killed. Maybe you have to cut off the guy's leg. So when it says Amri, therefore we say no 1 second. That's not a problem. Danin is zakim and zakim, and danin is zakim midah. We say 1 second. The reason why we don't learn from attacking the person you die, and therefore you should learn that you should cut off the guy's leg, is because we're learning nizakin, damages. You learn damages from the animal. You damaging the animal. You pay money. So to be damaging a person, you pay money. Death by a person, we don't learn from. The Gemara says that's not a good proof because why adraba? Danin adam adam. Learn person to person. You hit the person, you get killed. You hit the person, you cut off the leg. And you should not learn from the animal that you pay. Therefore, we need another proof in the Shelemah, the proof of the only time the nefesh kofar, you don't take money instead of a murderer. But you do take money for damaging limbs. Okay. 1 second, but the pasuk that you just taught me, that teaches me that you take money only for a murderer, but not money for limbs loss. But we have the pasuk with something else. Don't do two things to one judgment. You don't do two things. This is the famous thing we mentioned 1,000 times of Kimle, that you don't take money and kill him. So when it says, we say, no, that pasuk, that halakha of Kimle we learn elsewhere. Pasuk says, according to his wickedness, singular. You hold him liable for one punishment. You don't hold him liable for two, meaning you can't give him two penalties of payment and lashes or death and money. 1 second, the other pasuk you need, maybe you might think the pasuk teaches you something else. If the pasuk teaches you can't take money and make him patur from death. Right, so how can we learn that you're also patur from limb loss? You don't have to cut off the guy's leg. And we can. The pasuk should have worded it that you should not take the money for someone who deserves to die. Why do I have to say that the life of a murderer? We learn from here. You're able to learn from here that you take money for loss of limbs, but not loss of life. So now that I have that second pasuk, beautiful pasuk that we learned, why we need the first Gzera Sheva in the first place of Makkah? Where it says Amri, if you only learn from the pasuk, you might think you might think if you only learn from the pasuk, you might think there might be an optional. And if the guy doesn't want to pay nadi, he could lose his eye instead. I'll take off my eye instead. So therefore, the Gemara says, therefore we say no, it's not an option. You don't have the guy can't just choose between the two. You can't take the limb at all. You can only take money like the behemah. Tanya, Brata says, ayin tahat ayin mamon. When it says that eye for an eye means money. I told him mamon or in mamash. Maybe who says money? Maybe it's actual eye. Marta the pasuk says, the Gemara says, let's say this guy had a big eye. This guy had a small eye. The Farshim explained that it's maybe referring to eyesight, not the actual size of the eye. Who cares what size of the eye? So how can you do eye for an eye? Therefore, it must be money. Just like you take money from him. Maybe only over here you could take money, but maybe elsewhere you could cut off the eye. One single law you should have. You have to have the same law, meaning you can't measure the eyes to decide whether or not you can take out the eye, and maybe if it's not the same eye, then you could pay money instead. No, it's always money. You can't do separate halachot. Amri, the Gemara says, my kusha, what's the problem? Well, you're looking at it differently. Who cares about the eye and the eyesight? You're looking about what the end result is. You took away this guy's eyesight, we're going to take away your eyesight. Because if you don't say that, a small guy killed a big guy, a big guy killed a small guy, maybe you can't kill him. Because the Torah have to be the same size, the same halakha, has to be equal. So we say over there, just like a guy, you killed someone, we have to kill you. Doesn't make a difference how big you are. So too, here by an eye. If you took away the guy's eyesight, maybe we should take away your eyesight. So this part is not a proof that ayin tachat ayin means money. Because we knocked it out. The Gemara says another proof. Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai Omer, Rashbi, Yochai, ayin tachat ayin. Eye for an eye, mamon, referring to money. I told him mamon, is only the money. Maybe he cut off his eye. Maybe if someone blinded, someone who was blind and he blinded someone else. Or kita, or if he's someone who's he doesn't have a leg and he cut off someone else's leg. If he was lame and he chopped off and he crippled someone else's leg. How do I do ayin tachat ayin if he's already has that problem? Therefore, maybe money. But and therefore, since we can't do that over there, he has to do money. But that doesn't make sense because the Torah says that everybody has to have the same halakha. The Gemara says, my kusha, what's the problem? That's not a good proof that you have to do money because maybe it's a case by case. If the guy can take off his leg, you take off his leg. If he's already missing his leg, then he pays money. Because we see elsewhere as well that it's a case by case. Why? Because of a terefa killed a healthy person. Terefa means the guy has a fatal injury that he's going to die anyhow. What do we do? We can't kill him because he's already considered a dead man. Wherever it's possible to impose the death penalty, you impose the death penalty. So and therefore if it's not possible, it's not possible. So too over here, regarding the guy, maybe if the guy is missing an eye, you don't do it, but if he has an eye, you do cut off his eye. Not a good proof that you have to use money. The Ber Ishmael Tanah Ishmael says, Markrat Pasuk says, Ken yinaten lo, bo, it shall be done to him. When it says netina, only means money. So therefore we see you give money instead of losing a limb. But the Pasuk says elsewhere, Ka'asher yiten mumba adam, when a person shall wound someone else. Hachanayim manahu, over there also refers to money? No, it does not. Because it means when you give money, it doesn't sound like you're giving him an actual wound. The Gemara says, Amrei the Beir felt Karai Tirat Rashi. He says he was learning an extra pasuk. Mechtikti, the pasuk says, V'ish kiten mum ba'amitoka asher asa kenya aselo. The pasuk says when a man hurts someone else, whatever he does back to him. Seems like that he actually gets attacked with a wound. Not money. Kenyan ten bolam. What I mean, the pasuk teach you. One means that you do money instead of another wound. It says kasher ten mum ba'adam lamali. So why when the pasuk tells me that you shall give a wound to another person? It doesn't sound like money over there. The Gemara says adi dibai mechtav kinin ten bo k'tabnai kasher ten mum ba'adam. Right? So the Gemara says no, only because originally it said it shall be given to him regarding money. So too by the mum it also says you shall give him a wound. But it doesn't actually mean wound, it means money. And over here is a good proof that we do money instead of actual wounds. Right, so the first good proof is Rabbi Ishmael.